Hi, and welcome to this episode of Berry Aftercare, the podcast, titled The Wisdom to Know the Difference Can Make a Big Difference in Your Post-Op Living. So I like this episode because I like to learn. I like to read. I like to share education. I like to share psychological information with people. And so I found another great book. Of course, I found another great book, right? And I was on the airplane on my way home from Florida last weekend, and all I could pull up was the Kindle on my phone. So I started a new book, and it's called The Art of Letting Go. Stop overthinking, stop negative spirals, and find emotional freedom. So I thought, okay, that sounds like a pretty good title, and I already had it in my library. So I started reading it. I've only gotten through a little bit of it. But let me tell you what I found in that little bit of it. I thought this will make for a great podcast. So let me tell you what we're going to do, give you a little bit of an overview, and then I'm going to jump right in. We're going to take a little bit of a trip down history lane so I can explain to you where this whole thing came from. And then we're going to talk about what does it mean, the wisdom to know the difference. What is that even about? I'm going to take this information about the wisdom to know the difference, and we're going to relate it to specific food and weight related examples, because this podcast is for those of you who are thinking about having surgery, thinking about taking GLP-1s, doing some major weight loss in whatever way is working for you. And then we're going to give you a tool at the very end of the podcast to help you know the difference. So let's dig in. What the heck am I even talking about, this business of knowing the difference? Again, I want to make sure that you understand that the majority of this information is taken from a book called The Art of Letting Go. Stop overthinking, stop negative spirals, and find emotional freedom. And it's written by Nick Trenton. You've probably heard the phrase, let go, just let it go. In fact, there was a song in the Disney movie, Let It Go, and everybody was singing that, and we were applying it to our lives, just let it go. That's a phrase that's often used in the psychological world to describe the process of, removing attachment from something. Let go of the attachment to how people think about you, or let go of your attachment to what people say about your weight. Let go of the attachment about what your mother says to you. Let go of the attachment. In other words, quit getting all, as my father would say, and I mentioned this last time, getting all drawn up in the ass about it. So we want to let go of the emotional effects of things that are not helping us in our lives. It could be letting go of our attachment to a person, or what people say to us, or the idea of what they might be thinking of us that's in our heads. Or it could be a situation, letting go of the drama at work, not getting involved in it, letting go of the drama in a friend group, letting go of worrying about what your partner thinks about your involvement in going to the gym. So that's what letting go in a psychological context may be. It could also be letting go of negative thoughts or emotions or behaviors. Hello, weight loss world. We get ourselves into these spirals of, oh, why bother? And it won't hurt if I just have one. So letting go of these negative thoughts, letting go of the negative thoughts about ourselves. I'm not worth it. Nobody cares anyway. Or any of these negative behaviors that we return to that in the past have led to regain. So letting go is a powerful, powerful tool, not an easy thing to do. But if we hold on to things that aren't working for us, it leads us back to old behaviors, and it prevents us from reaching our full potential. And when we're talking about full potential in the Berry Aftercare world, We're talking about living that healthy life, continuing with the non-scale victories, doing the things that you say you wanted to do when you lost weight, living that amazing life that you want to live and creating that for yourself. So it's about surrendering control. That's what's at the essence of the phrase, you got to let go of that. And allowing yourself, you hear this phrase a lot too, from situations or people that no longer serve you or are not in your best interest. A lot of people in our community, in the weight loss world, we're losing, people are lose weight. They're working to keep it off. And they need to and want to let go of a lot of things. They want to let go of the constant obsession about food, weight, calories, what the scale says. They want to let go of emotional eating. Now, this part isn't from the book. This is just my application of what's in the book to, hopefully, things you can relate to. People want to let go of the distress over that dang scale and how much power they give it. They want to let go of starting strong in the next diet or weight loss program and then giving up. They want to let go of this worry about what other people are thinking about them. They want to let go of the negative self-talk. So there's a lot of practical things in the bariatric care world to want to let go of. These things do not serve you well. They actually end up oftentimes leading you back to unhealthy behaviors. Now back to information from the book. There's a thing called Stoic philosophy. Well, la-di-da, right? What the heck is that? So it's a philosophy, a way of thinking, a school of thought that originated years and years and years and years ago. Ancient Greece, ancient Rome, and before the time of Christ. So we're talking about AD, not BC in years. This isn't new. And I was surprised when I read this, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. But this Stoic philosophy is a doctrine, a way of thinking that's focused on how people need to focus their efforts on things that are under their control and accept the things that are not. We have heard this before. You've heard me talk about it. If you're familiar with any of the 12-step information, you know that they have a Serenity Prayer. And the Serenity Prayer says, give me the courage to change the things I can, to accept the things I cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there it is. Now, I thought it was the 12-step founders that came up with this. No. Nothing new under the sun, right? This philosophy came about many hundreds and thousands of years ago. So it's an ancient philosophy called Stoicism. Focus on the things that are under your control and accept the things you can't. So if we follow this doctrine, this Greek philosophy, this Roman philosophy, this Stoic philosophy, we're going to focus our efforts on things that are under our control. We're going to say, you know what, I can't do anything about that, so I'm going to let go of it. I'm going to give up my attachment to that idea. I'm going to give up my attachment to emotional eating and deal with what I can deal with, what are my emotions. I'm going to give up my attachment over this power the scale and the number on the scale has to me, and I'm going to focus on the things I can control, which are the gotta-do-ems. I'm going to give up my attachment to the things I cannot control, which are what other people think about me, how they cooperate with me or don't, what they think about my idea to have surgery. I'm going to give up my attachment to it, meaning I'm not going to let it affect how I think or how I feel or how I behave. Instead, I'm going to focus on doing what I need to do to get the outcome that I want. So how about that? Hundreds and thousands of years ago. And if we use this philosophy, we can let go of a lot of worries. We can let go of a lot of fears, a lot of expectations of other people. We can let go of a lot of drama. And friends, as we've mentioned before in the Bariatric Aftercare podcast, a lot of the things that bother us are things that we create ourselves. A lot of our problems are related to our expectations of other people. A lot of our problems are related to, how we work things up. And oh my gosh, we let our emotions drive the bus and we create these huge things out of something that doesn't need to be a huge something if we let go of our expectations, if we let go of the huge emotions and apply some logic and accept things we cannot change and focus our efforts on the things we can. In the mind prep videos, which are the videos I've created and use for people who are having a bariatric pre-surgical evaluation, they're also available to everybody in the Bariatric Care program. These mind prep videos, I talk all about the contributing factors to the disease of obesity. And there are many, many different contributing factors, but I specifically talk about focusing on the things you can change, the things you have influence over, and accepting the things you can't change. So when it comes to your weight, there's a lot of things that you can change and a lot of things you can't. So if we think about what causes obesity, many, many, many factors, right? Your ethnicity, your genetics, the culture in which you were raised, the foods you were fed as a child, some metabolic diseases you might have, PCOS, some medications you are taking. Those are things that I can't change my past. I can't change what my parents fed me. I can't change that my ethnicity, my culture values food all the time and eats these sorts of foods, which contribute to weight gain. You can't do anything about them. That's the part of accepting the things I cannot change. The courage to change the things you can is a different story. So those things you can't change, if you focus on those, you're probably looking for somebody to blame. Well, my culture, 90% of the women are overweight. Is that because it's a genetic thing, or is it because it's the foods that the culture typically eats? I don't know. What part of that can you change? What part of that can't you? But if you're constantly saying, well, it's in my genes, or, it's my culture, or, my parents, are you blaming them? Are you looking for something to complain about? Maybe you're looking for a reason not to put forth effort onto those things you can complain. So be a little honest with yourself here. Are you as they would say in New Zealand or Australia, a whinger, which means you're a whiner? Are you just going to complain about all these things? Oh my God, I can't help it. I can't help it. I can't help it. Yeah, you can't help that obesity is a disease, but you can help what you do to treat your disease, just like anything else, just like any other disease. So this philosophy and what I believe, who knew I was a Stoic philosopher? Ha! I am. No, I believe in this philosophy, this way of thinking. Let's not focus on the things you can't change. Let's focus on the things you can, which in a bariatric world include your current environment, meaning your home. What foods do you keep in there? What foods do you have at your office desk? What foods do you keep stashed away in your car? You have 100% control over that. You have 100% control whether or not you buy Halloween candy or Easter candy or Valentine's Day candy. You can choose not to. Who knew? That is an option. You have control over how often you eat out or where you choose to go. There are healthy options at many restaurants. You have complete control over how much processed food that you consume, unhealthy processed food. You have 100% control, friends, over how frequently you eat, how much protein you eat, how much water you take in. If you take bariatric vitamins, if you attend support group, if you go to therapy or have a coach or have a trainer, you have a lot of influence when it comes to your disease of obesity. Yes, there are things that are not within your ability to control or change. Let's not worry about those. Let's not complain about them. Let's not focus on those because they're not going to change. Let's focus on the things you can change. And then we need to figure out what's the difference. What do I have control over and what don't I? Because a lot of people get stuck thinking I have control over other people. I have influence. Well, we do have some influence, but we certainly don't have control. We'll get to that piece in a little bit. Now, back to the information from the books and this Stoic philosophy, this idea of focusing on the things you can change and you can't. So the Stoics, which is what they refer to themselves, recognize that there are things people can change, like your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. How often do you hear me talk about your thoughts, your feelings, and your behavior, and how connected these things are? The Stoics say it's these things that you can control where you need to focus your attention, and the Berry Aftercare word of the year, which is effort. So does this sound familiar to you? If you've listened to the Mind Prep videos, it should. If you've listened to a lot of my podcasts, it should. If you've taken Gain While You Lose, the class that I do once or twice a year, it should be familiar to you. But in Berry Aftercare, we talk a lot about how we do have influence over our thoughts, our feelings, and our behaviors. This may surprise some people because you don't think you have influence over your thoughts. Now, you don't have maybe control over if a thought pops into your head. You may be driving down the road and the thought pops into your head. Gosh, I wonder what it's doing in New Zealand today. You didn't, ask for that. You didn't create that thought. Boom, it was just there. Or you might be thinking about, oh my gosh, my mother-in-law's coming to visit next week. And there it was. Or you might be thinking, I wonder what my husband or my partner is doing right. Things just pop into your head. Now, if it's a thing that causes you to feel, because thoughts lead to feelings, our thoughts and our feelings, friends, they are connected. So if I think, oh man, I really hope I don't regain. Now, how am I going to feel? Anxious, worried, afraid? Versus if I think, wow, I'm going to really focus on my process today. My process of eating every 4 hours and making sure I eat protein first and making sure that I get my vitamins and making sure I'm really going to focus on my process. I'm really excited about that because it's leading to all these non-scale victories. Now I'm going to be feeling hopeful. I might be feeling a little intimidated. It's a lot, but I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling excited about the potential from following through with my process. So if I'm thinking a positive thought and I'm feeling hopeful, I'm more likely to behave in helpful, positive ways. If I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm fearing regain. Oh my God, I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling anxious. I may behave in a way that calms my anxiety, which for a lot of people is a habit or emotional eating, and I might turn to food. Remember, I talk about if your most dominant thought is, I choose health, I choose health, I choose health, which is a positive thought, which is a motivating thought, which is a move me in the right direction thought, then my behavior is likely to follow. I mind how I speak to my children because communication can be healthy or unhealthy. I choose health. I watch what I put in my mouth because I choose health. I make sure that I follow through with my plan to go to the Zumba class on my way home from work because I choose health. So while you may not be able to control your thoughts that pop into your head, you can make a choice what you're going to do about them. If I start thinking, oh God, I'm so afraid to regain, you know what? I have a choice. I can continue to think about that, feel badly, and probably behave unhealthy, or I can change that thought. So we do have influence over our thoughts, which are connected to our emotions, which are controlled to our behavior. So by focusing on those things that we do have control over and cultivating the right mindset, how do we do that? Through our thoughts. We choose, because we have influence, we choose to have positive thoughts. We choose to throw negative thoughts into our mental dumpster or our mental bonfire or our mental garbage disposal. We get rid of them and we replace them because we have the option. We have the power. We have the control over that. When you do that, you work on cultivating a positive mindset, here's what you get in return. Inner peace. Oh, I feel much more peaceful when I think about choosing health than I worry about regain. I feel much more peace when I think about following my bariatric process than when I think, oh my God, what am I going to do today? I don't have a plan. We bring ourselves inner peace. We bring ourselves freedom. I don't have to worry about all of the temptation out there because I have a plan and I choose health. Now, is this easy? No, but it is possible. And just like everything else that's possible and not easy, we have to work on it. But we get peace, freedom, and a much better life, regardless of who has treats sitting on their desk, regardless of how much junk food there is at the family reunion, regardless of where everybody else wants to go to eat. You do have control. Now let's move on to this business of, sometimes the line between what I control and what I can't control isn't that easy. It feels blurred. So then we go to this business of, in the Serenity Prayer or the Stoic philosophy of, how do I know the difference? Well, Epictetus, who was a human, he lived, again, in that Stoic philosophy era, 55 to 135 AD. He was a Greek philosopher and he lived around that time. He believed in the importance of using 3 faculties to determine if this is something I have control over or not. What is a faculty? It's basically your intellect, your mental capacity, your intelligence. So faculty, your ability to say, do I have control over this or not? Right? It's your mental capability. So there's 3 mental faculties, mental abilities he uses to decide, is this something I have control over or not? Let's look at those, okay? And we'll apply them to your bariatric life. One is the faculty of judgment, or the ability to make a judgment or discern. It governs the way people think, feel, and what they believe. So he believed that people need to use this ability, our ability to think positively, our ability to influence how we feel, and our ability to behave in a way that's going to serve us well. So he believed we should use this to develop rational beliefs about the world. So you got to strive to make wise judgments based on, to avoid making judgments based on emotions. Well, I feel like, no, that's not how we make decisions. I feel sad or I feel guilty if I hurt my mama's feelings. That's not a reason to base a judgment on what you do. That is not something that would be wise. Would this be the wise choice? No. Don't let your feelings drive the bus. Well, I feel deprived. Well, how do you work your program of recovering from the disease of obesity without setting yourself up for deprivation? Well, I feel rebellious. Nobody's going to tell me what I can eat and what I can't. Is that going to serve you well? So let's not make our decisions based on how we feel. Again, if you've taken Gain While You Lose, you've learned we don't let our emotions drive the bus. When we have too much emotion, healthy adults will apply some logic. So if I do that, if I say, you're not going to tell me what I can eat, watch me now. And some of us develop this because we were deprived or we were not allowed to eat certain things in your homes, and that sets you up for saying, I'm an adult, I'll do whatever I want. Well, where's that going to lead you, friends? So let's apply some logic to that intense emotion of, watch me, right? It's rebellious. It's really a childish perspective. It's not a healthy adult perspective. So we need to look at that and say, is this serving me well? Or do I want to let go of that because I do have the ability to do so? So again, biases. Well, that never works, even though a lot of evidence shows the contrary. It's an interesting thing about people. People are weird and sometimes not real smart. So there can be a pile of evidence to show something. If you were raised to believe otherwise, you don't care what the science says. You don't care what reality has to say. We are stubborn people. So don't let your biases or prejudices or your emotions make decisions. Use your faculty of judgment. So the example in the book, before we go into bariatric examples, is suppose that a person gets some criticism from their boss and they have this emotional response, right? You might be angry, you might be defensive. If you apply this faculty of judgment, this rational belief, you might understand that the boss was maybe trying to help you. The boss was maybe trying to give you some constructive feedback. Reflect on the situation, look at the feedback objectively without your emotion, and then make a rational decision about how you want to respond. In one of the daily takes, Alexis talked about pause before you respond, the power of the pause. Don't react out of your emotions. So let's look at some bariatric examples. Let's say that you believe, oh my God, everybody in this restaurant is looking at me. They're looking at what I'm eating. They're judging me. That's based on your own belief system and emotions. You might feel embarrassed. You might feel self-conscious. You might feel insecure. That doesn't mean it's true that everybody in the restaurant is looking at you. What is the evidence? And then make a rational decision. Maybe say to yourself, this kind of thinking isn't helping me. And so what if they are, right? Apply some logic, some objectivity. Maybe talk to your friends. Is everybody looking at me? I feel like everybody in the restaurant's looking at me. What are you talking about? Nobody's looking at you. Then choose to let that negativity go and say, I'm here, I'm in charge of how I think, and I'm choosing to let that go. Use your, what does he call it again? Faculty of judgment. Use this cognitive skill. Or maybe you're thinking, the people at work don't talk to me because I'm overweight. Is that true? Some people maybe, but is that true for everybody? Nobody at work talks to me. And it's all because I'm overweight. This is coming from your own self. This is your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own emotional stuff. Is it serving you well? No, it is not. Can you choose to change that? Yes, you can. Do you want to hold on to that? Are you attached to that? Is it serving you in some way? Not if you want to make healthy changes. So you need to choose to let go. Use that rational, objective thought, the faculty of judgment. No one's ever going to want to date me because I'm heavy. Well, look around you. A lot of heavy people are dating, are married, are happy. So again, this is coming from your internal belief system, your own feelings, your own struggles. Apply some objectivity, get the data, look around you, and you'll realize that's not exactly true. So do I want to hold on to and harbor these thoughts? Or do I want to say I can change that and choose to let it go? So remember, by focusing on what is within your control, letting go of these negative thoughts, letting go of these negative preconceptions, letting go of these emotions that are not serving me well. So by focusing on what's going on in here, and remember, you can create a healthy mindset. You can change your thoughts. You can achieve that inner peace you're looking for, the freedom that you're looking for, a good life. No matter if the whole restaurant's looking at you, which, by the way, they're not. All right, the second cognitive ability or faculty that this Epictetus dude, Greek philosopher, talks about is the faculty of desire, which is responsible for your desires and your fears. So people are designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain, right? I want the cake. I want the alcohol. I want the new shirt. I want all of the shirts. I want to buy all of the shoes in the store. I want to, I want to travel, even if it's outside of my means. We are designed to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So Epictetus believed that people need to use this faculty of desire to recognize whether it's a rational desire or an irrational desire, or a rational fear or an irrational fear, and strive to desire only those things that are within our control and avoid fearing things that are not. Again, let me repeat that. We need to strive to want only those things that are within our control, changing our mindset, not to fear the things that are not. I fear regain. Well, I'm going to change my mindset, and I don't have to have that fear. The example in the book, he says, imagine somebody who wants a promotion at work. It's a rational desire, right? We want to be promoted. We want to make more money. We want to have more status. We want to use our skills. That's rational. And it's something within their control in this case. However, maybe they have this fear of losing their job, which in this case is an irrational fear because it's not really within their control. Maybe the company shuts down. Maybe the company has a big layoff. By using this faculty of desire wisely, they can focus on achieving their goals. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to follow the process. I'm going to take the steps to do what I need to do to get this promotion without being held back by those emotional fears, because they realize that this fear is not in my control. I don't have any control over whether I lose my job, but I do have control over whether or not I put the effort toward getting what I want. Let's take this into the bariatric world. I want to live at a healthy weight, but I fear regain. Which of those things do you have control over and which do you not? Which is going to serve you well, which is not? I want to live at a healthy weight. You have a prototype for how to do that as a bariatric patient. It's eating in the increments you were told to eat. It's eating the amount of protein you were told to eat. It's taking, you have the gotta do's. You were told specifically, this is how you keep your weight off. You have 100% over control over those, friends. You may not feel like it, but the truth is, in the end, you do. You may need to get help to learn the skills. You may need to get support to follow through. You may have to learn some skills, assertiveness, boundary setting, self-worth. That's not a skill, but you can improve that, which will help you with your skills. Asking for help, seeking out help. You have every ability. It is 100% within your control to do the things that are most likely to help you keep your life at a healthy weight. Doesn't mean no regain. It means a healthy weight. You're doing the things you want to do. You're improving your health. You're decreasing the meds. You're engaging in life the way that you want to do it. But I fear this regain. Is that going to serve you? No. Change the thought. Change the mindset. Don't let your emotions drive the bus. I choose health. Every time I fear regain pops into your head, but I choose health. And I have the protocol. And I have 100% ability to follow through with the protocol. Here's another bariatric example. I want to walk in a 5K or a 10K or whatever your, movement goal might be, but I fear not making it to the end. You have 100% ability to follow through with training for a walk. You can do couch to 5K. You don't have to run it, but you can do it in walking increments. Or if you're at the point where you want to start running, if that's a goal of yours, or if you want to attend a Zumba class or whatever your movement goals are. But in this case, my example was I want to run it. I want to walk in a 10K, but I'm afraid I won't make it to the end. So the fear can either take over and I can focus on that fear and it's not going to serve me well, or I can say, you know what? Even if I don't make it to the end, I have 100% ability to work toward being able to make it to the end. So you don't let the fear drive the bus. You focus on what you can do, let go of what you can't, and know the difference. Know the difference. The fear isn't going to serve me. The behaviors to do this are going to serve me. Or maybe you were a lonely person prior to having your surgery and you isolated yourself. Now you want to get out there. You want to meet new people, but you fear rejection. I want to meet new people. I can go to my bariatric support group. I can get on Meetup. I can join an online group. I can make a comment. I can ask a question. I can reach out to a therapist. I can reach out to, whatever. I have the ability to do that. Or I can go, oh, this fear of rejection is so big and I'm just going to let it stop me. That's a choice. That's a choice. And I know, easier said than done. Yes, 100%. Fully agree with that. But these are things you can work on. It's not going to happen overnight with the snap of a finger. But you do have the ability, my friends, to work through that and get past that and not let that be your focus. Because we move in the direction of our most dominant thought. So you're going to fear the rejection, or you're going to take the risk and get the help to find places to meet new people. Start with safe places. Start with, your bariatric support group. Everybody's understanding and compassionate. Again, remember, if you focus on what's in your control, grant me the courage to accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change if I make it to the end of the race. Give me the courage to do the things I can. I can train for the race. Grant me the courage to follow through with my bariatric protocol. Accept the things I cannot change. I cannot change where I land on the scale, but I can put forth the effort to live at a healthier weight. You want that peace, you want the freedom, you want the life you're dreaming of. Accept the things you cannot change. Change the things you can. And listen carefully to this podcast, because I'm telling you, there are a lot of things you can change. Maybe not today, and maybe not by yourself. But with time, with help, with counseling, with support, you can inch toward those things. It is possible for you and for me. Lots of people have done it. Okay, so we've got the faculty or the ability to make sound judgment. We have the faculty of desire, meaning strive to desire only those things that I can change. I desire better health. I can do that. I desire to walk in a 10K. I can work toward that. I desire new friends. I can work toward that. And then the last one Epictetus talks about is the faculty of will, which directs your intentions, your decisions, and your actions. It allows us to act on the things we desire. I'm acting on my desire to be healthy for life. I'm following the protocol I received. I'm doing the things it takes. I'm following the God of Doings. I'm acting on my desire to walk in that 5K. I'm walking 5 times a week, and one week I'm walking this far, the next week I'm adding whatever it is. So it's acting on our desires and making decisions about how I want to live. I'm making the decisions that are in alignment with maintaining a healthy weight. I'm making decisions that are in alignment with my goal to get that promotion or make new friends. He being Epictetus, believed that people should use this faculty to make wise decisions and to take responsible action. So here we're talking about accountability, being responsible, able. You're able to respond in a positive way to change your thoughts, to change your behaviors if you choose to. You cannot change your genetics. Why worry about it? You cannot change what you grew up eating. Why worry about it? It's not going to help you. Wise decisions. Make the next wise choice. You've heard that. Will this choice lead me closer to where I want to be or further from where I want to be? If I make the choice to follow my plan toward improving my walking so I can, is that a wise choice? By golly, it is. If I make the choice to say no to the unhealthy processed food being offered to me, will it lead me closer to or further from? Use your judgment. Now the desire can be, yes, I want that cake, but is that a healthy desire? Is it going to serve you well? You have the ability to say, I'm not going to behave like a child and say I want what I want when I want it because nobody let me have it when I was a kid. I know I'm being hardcore, but that's how I am. We are adults. We need to practice adult thinking and adult behaving. We don't get to be like a child and throw a temper tantrum and say everybody else gets to have the cake. You can have the cake, but you live with that decision and the consequences of that decision. There may be no negative consequences, and you say, today I'm choosing the cake. Not a problem. If you have an addiction to sugar, it could lead you into a sugar spiral. Not a wise decision. It is a problem. So you've got to go with what you can change and what you can't. What is wise for you, what is not wise for you in this moment, which we're going to get to in just a minute. So people need to strive to act according to their rational desires. Rational. Is it rational for me to want all of the cake all of the time? No, but do I? Maybe. But can I change that thought? Yes, I can, because I have the function, the mental ability to be logical, to be wise, to make judgments, to make discernments, to say, is this good for me? Is this wise? And then we can avoid acting impulsively or irresponsibility. I am an adult. I am responsible. All right, so the example in the book is, again, this is a bariatric example right out of the book. It says, imagine somebody has a desire to become more physically fit, more movement. Using the faculty of will, they can decide, I'm going to join a gym, or I'm going to create a workout plan, or I'm going to get some stretchy bands, resistance bands, or I'm going to get online and look at the very free workouts on YouTube, or I'm going to go outside and walk in the very free, not have to pay for gym that is outside my door. So then they can take action by following through on the plan and following through on the plan and following through on the plan. I have the ability, I have the wisdom to know that this is a wise decision if I want to get where I want to get. So by using this faculty of will, which means following through, it means effort. Our Berry Aftercare word of the year, putting forth effort to get what I want. Then you can achieve your goals. You're going to be happier. You're going to have more freedom. You're going to have more peace of mind. You're going to be able to move forward with creating the life that you want to live. So bariatric examples, we talked about the 10K. We talked about wanting to meet new people. You need to take risks. You need to say, I want to meet new people. Well, then I have to be willing to show up at the meetup club, or I have to be willing to go to the support group meeting, or I have to be willing to post a comment or ask a question on my online support group. I have to be willing to put forth the effort. So using these faculties of judgment, of desire, of will, you can put these in proper balance and live a life that you want to live. So his teachings, Epictetus, his teachings are a reminder that we do have the power. We have a great deal of power within ourselves to shape our own life, to shape our experiences, but we got to take responsibility for our thoughts. We got to let go of those negative stinking thinking. We got to work hard to change those if we want to have a meaningful life, because our thoughts influence our feelings and that influences our behavior. So if you use these three things together, he says that's the key to good living. Be responsible, follow through. Anybody, does this sound like Mel Robbins to you? In Barry Aftercare, we did a review of her book, Let Them. She is great about saying, ain't nobody coming. He's saying the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun. There's just people who have a way of putting it out there that say it like it is, and a lot of people can hear them. All right, now, the last thing we're going to talk about from this book is this thing that the Stoics and Epictetus in particular talk about, the dichotomy of control, right? And we're going to give specific food and weight-related examples. But the dichotomy of control is this way of thinking that separates things. It's just really separating. Can I control this or can't I? Does this fall in the area? Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, knowing what I cannot change. The courage to change the things I can. That's the dichotomy. Can I control it or can't I? So there's this dichotomy of control, and it's a philosophy, and that's what it's about. It's focusing then on knowing what I can't control and not dealing with it, but focusing instead on what I can control, because that's going to reduce your stress, reduce your frustration. It helps us invest our time and resources where I can make a change, where I can make a real difference. It helps us cultivate that inner strength. Oh, look what I did. Looks like I can put forth that effort. Looks like I can set that boundary. Looks like I can reach out on the support group. Looks like I can do the gotta do-ums. It helps us develop that strength, that resilience, like those negative thoughts start coming back and we go, no, get lost into the trash with you. And it gives us that kind of relief, that knowing I can do this. I think I can. I know I can. But like any skill, because this is a skill, is this something I can change or isn't it? If it's not something I can change, I'm not dealing with it. If it is something I can change, what are the steps I need to take to make the changes? So this dichotomy of control takes practice. It's a skill. Just like learning to ride a bike is a skill. Just like learning to use assertive communication is a skill. Just like learning to set boundaries is a skill. It takes practice, but with time and effort, like there's that E word that I love so much, it can become second nature. But how much effort are you willing to put into it so that it does become second nature and not something you've got to constantly put all this effort into? So whether you're facing a difficult work situation, a challenging relationship, the stresses of losing weight or maintaining weight loss, the stresses of everyday life, this can help bring you that calm you're looking for. The example in the book is, think about a kid or an adult preparing for an exam. There are things they can control. How much time they spend studying. Do they need a tutor? And if they do, they get one. Can they control the stimuli around them? Yes, maybe they can turn off the TV. They don't have to listen to noise unless it helps them study. They can control the environment. They can control their time management in studying for this exam. Things they can't control. How tough is that exam going to be? They can't control that. The person creating it is controlling that. What questions are going to be on the exam? Can't control that. The grading criteria, can't control that. So should I put a lot of time and effort into that? No. But focusing on those things they can. They can develop a study plan. They can create times for their studying. They can maintain their focus by making their environment productive to their studying. But if they start worrying about, oh my God, what's going to be on this exam? How hard is it going to be? They're going to become stressed. They're going to become anxious. That's going to negatively negatively affect their performance. Same with you, same with me. All right, let's apply this to bariatrics, all right? So there are 3 steps in deciding, is this something I control or is this something I cannot? One is staying in the present moment. And this is important because we got to stay in the present, because why worry about regrets of the past? Can I do this? Oh my God, I couldn't do it in the past. Is that going to help you? Or is it going to help you to say, this is what I can do today in my bariatric care program, in my weight loss maintenance journey? This is what I can do today. Not, oh my God, I didn't make it in the past. So when it comes to decisions to keep you moving forward toward your goals of improved health, better quality of life, fewer meds, living longer, it's really important to stay in the present. Let's look at an example, all right? So maybe you want to tell your family members, stop commenting on my weight, stop commenting on my size, quit talking about what I choose to eat. Say you're working with your therapist, you've come up with this assertive communication to set these boundaries with them, all right? You've got a plan, you're focusing on what you are going to do in the present. But let's say you get thinking about the past and you're like, last time I tried this, they were so over the top and they put me down and I felt so bad. And, I don't want to feel that kind of shame or that kind of embarrassment. And you can focus on what happened in the past, or you can focus on your rehearsed way of setting boundaries in the present and how you're going to do that. If you think about the future and you're like, oh my God, now there's going to be tension every time I'm around them because I tried to set boundaries. And, maybe they won't even talk to me. Maybe they're going to cut me out of the family. I can't bear to think about that. Or, I'm so worried about that. You're stressed. You're anxious. Stay in the present. It is your responsibility to set these boundaries with your family. Nobody's coming, friends. Nobody's going to do it. That's a Mel Robbins thing, right? Nobody's coming. You're the one that has to set the boundaries, but you got to learn. So work with your therapist, work with your support people, work with a coach to practice these skills so you can have this conversation. You can, they might say this, how am I going to respond? You can learn the skills to do that. And if things fall apart, then you have people with whom to process the outcome of that. So that's the importance of staying in the present, because if you keep being drawn to something distressing in the past, here's what you can do. Ask yourself, is there a lesson that I can learn from that episode? Something that maybe I can apply now in the present. If not, don't dwell on it. It is not going to serve you well. I can't control it. In the trash bin. Similarly, if you're anxious about something that might happen down the road, is that going to help you? You cannot control this. It goes in the I cannot control pile. Then let it go. Ignore it. Accept it. I can't control it. I'm going to focus on what I can. So the first step is staying in the present. The second step is develop the habit of always asking yourself, is this in my control or is it not? Right? Is it your thoughts getting in your way? Are they in my control? Absolutely. Can I change the things at hand? Maybe. So let's imagine that you're driving to work. This is an example in the book. And you get stuck in traffic. You feel frustrated. You feel anxious about being late. But then you ask yourselves, is the traffic under my control? Nope. Can't change that. What can I do to deal with what is reality in the present. I can call a friend. I can use this time wisely. I can listen to an audiobook. I actually had this happen to me last night, and I used this right from this book because I was going to record this podcast last night, and my daughter asked me if I could come and spell the time between she had to go to her other job and the time her husband got home. And she said, he'll get home around 6, which did not happen. And he got home at 8. And I was getting frustrated and upset and angry and thinking about, this changes my plans. I'm going to not have time to prepare for the podcast, and I'm not going to have time to do it. And I got into this tizzy in my head, and I said to myself, at this moment, is this situation in my control? No, it's not. There was a communication gap. There was a communication mix-up. He thought I knew I was staying till 8. I did not. We talked about it, but in that moment, I thought, this is not in my control right now. He's not getting home until 8. What am I going to do while I'm here? I hadn't brought my computer to prepare the podcast, so I thought, you know what? I'm going to use my time and be grateful for this extra time with the kids. Annie took her bath. The kids packed their lunches for tomorrow. We had dinner together. So it was tough. And that anger kept coming up, but I pushed it aside. And when I talked to my daughter, she's like, I really appreciate how you're handling this. So what aspect of that situation was in my control? Only what I did in the present. Only the choices I made that I had control over. And I was laughing to myself because I knew this is what I was going to be talking about. Let's make this a bariatric example. Let's say your significant other verbalizes all this support for you in your effort to lose weight, improve your life, but their actions aren't really supportive. They're bringing that food into the house you've asked them not to. Oh, they bring you gifts of food that you loved in the past because they're showing you they love you. Maybe they're complaining, oh, you're gone all the time. You're out with your friends. You're working out. You don't cook the foods I like. When you share how you feel with them, they get defensive, they get angry. So what parts of this situation do you not have control over? You can't control what they bring into the house, even if you ask them. You can't control how they feel. Maybe they're angry about you being gone all the time. You can't control what they say to you. You can't control what they think about your weight loss process. You can't control how they respond when you try to set boundaries. A lot of things we don't have control over. So we separate these things into piles. Takes effort, right? What do you have control over? You have control over what you put in your mouth. When your husband brings food home, you have control over whether you put that in your mouth. Yes, you do. But it's so tempting. Learn the skills. Learn the skills. You're responsible for your weight loss journey, for all the aspects. Learn the skills. You can put that food in a separate closet. If it's something they don't even eat, give it away or put it in the toilet and flush it. Put it down that disposal. You have a choice over what you do with those treats they bring you. Again, you can eat them, not in your best, not going to lead you to where you want to be. Or again, you can flush them, give it to the neighbor, put it in the garbage disposal. Here's another thing you have control over, even though it's difficult, but you can learn this, how you respond to their defensiveness. You can get angry back with them, you can pick a fight, you can get into a disagreement with them, or you can learn the skills to have healthy, assertive communication. Man, I'll tell you what, been a great lesson for me over the years. It didn't happen right away, but it happened incrementally. Whole different vibe in my household today than there was 20 years ago in terms of communication. You do have the option of how you respond to their accusations, their resentments, their defensiveness. Maybe not today, but if you put the effort into learning those skills, working with the therapist, learning, practicing, you do have the ability to control how you respond. You have responsibility and the ability to whether or not you set boundaries with them, or if you set boundaries with yourself. I don't care what they're bringing to this house. I don't eat that. That is not an option for me. You have the ability to set boundaries with and for yourself. Is this easy stuff? Not a chance. But if you don't possess the skills to do these things, guess who's responsible for learning them? Enough said. And the third step of practicing this dichotomy of control is answering that question, knowing the difference. Is this under my control? Because sometimes it's hard to know. There's not a clear cut. Sometimes we think we should be able to control things we can't. And it may be our expectation that we should be able to control how other people think, feel, or behave, and that causes us problems. We say things like, well, if they love me, they should. That doesn't mean they're going to. It'd be nice if they did, but you don't have control over. If they love me, they should keep this stuff out of my house. Yeah, maybe. Either way, you don't have control over whether they do or not. Or we whine and we say, we've been together for 15 years. Why do I have to tell him or tell her what I want? They should know. This is an expectation, and we get in trouble with our expectations of other people. Maybe they should, maybe they shouldn't. I don't know, but you don't have control over whether they do or they don't. You do have control over whether you tell them what you want or whether you choose not to tell them. Or we say things like, I would never say that. I would never behave like that. I would never do such a thing. And the expectation here is, I can't believe anybody else would, and I can't accept that people behave this way. You don't have control over what they believe is appropriate behavior. You don't have control over what they do or don't do. You can like it or not, but friends, you don't have control over it. And again, I'm going to repeat what I said. The people who get trapped in this whining, this complaining, this why don't other people, focusing, blaming, are the people that find it really difficult to accept things that can't be changed. Can I change it or not? If you don't know, ask somebody for clarification, for help, right? And even more often, we don't want to take responsibility for the things we can change. We can't set boundaries. Well, I don't like confrontation. No, nobody does. So learn the skills to have a discussion. It doesn't need to be nasty, knockdown, drag out confrontation. It can be, I feel uncomfortable when you do that. Standing up for yourself is a skill you can learn. Setting limits with yourself. I deserve it. I want it. I want it when I want it. I want as much of it as I want. You need to set limits with yourself. We have to take responsibility for saying no to ourselves too. Oh, we're big on setting boundaries with other people, but I'm not going to say no to myself. You might want to. You have the ability to. It might be in your best interest to. We don't want to do the gotta do's. We don't want to do the doing. We don't want to put forth the effort. We don't want to follow the protocol that the dietitian told us. We don't want to do the things the surgeon told us for long-term weight maintenance. You know, people make excuses for not taking their bariatric vitamins or attending the support groups or making excuses for not having time to exercise or, you know, for not drinking enough water or, you know, whatever it is they know they need to do that are within their control, but they don't want to do it. You do have the ability, my friends. It is within your control. People don't want to take the time to read the books or listen to the podcasts or find a coach or go to a therapist or learn the skills that would help them. Well, do it or don't. The choice is yours, and so are the outcomes. Typically, you know, when we're anxious or we're overwhelmed with the negative thoughts or the negative emotions, this is from the book. People tend to fall back into that black or white, all or nothing. Why bother? Nothing works. I can't do this. They get into that perfectionism, the all or nothing, because they may have not believed they could do anything, and they have an unrealistic expectation. Everything is nothing is in my control. Everything is out of my comfort zone. So maybe instead of saying, is this in my control or is it not? It might be useful to say, What parts of this situation are in my control right now, in the present? I can call a therapist. I could get online and ask that question. I could dig out my notes and look at my nutrition guidelines. I could print out the Gotta-Do-ums. I could put forth the effort. What parts of the situation, so maybe it's not clear, but what parts of the situation are in my control? So asking what you can do leads to this obvious next question. Effort. You have to take the steps if you want to improve your situation. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. What part in this moment can I change, influence, put effort into? That might be what you take away from this podcast, and that would be a great thing, right? You'll have better peace, more calmness, even when things are tough. Last part, a tool, an exercise. All right, so you have a situation, and the example in the book, again, is that struggling with grades. So what you do, all right? This kid feels like they're doing everything they can, or you might feel like you're doing everything you can to follow the Gotta-Do-ums or follow the protocol, but you keep getting disappointment. You cave, you give in to things you shouldn't eat, or you continue to gain weight, or the student doesn't get the results they want. So here's something you can do. Get a piece of paper and a pen or pencil, and then draw a big circle on the paper and a smaller circle within the big circle. So we've got a big circle, and within that circle, we've got a smaller circle. And in the small circle, write down things that are within your control. All right? So you can write down, it's in my control to clean out the unhealthy foods for my house. It's in my control to join a support group. It's in my control to seek advice from somebody else. It's in my control to sign up or to get outside and go for a walk or sign up for a class. It's in my control to order the vitamins. It's in my control to take the vitamins. So in that small circle, write down what you can do in the moment. The things that you can do when it comes to maintaining the healthiest weight that you can. And then in the big circle, write down things that are outside of your control. What your family thinks about this, if your partner supports you, if people like you, if people say nasty things to you, if society changes their tune about how they treat heavier people, all the things that are not within your control go in the big circle. The small circle controls the things that you can influence. So you've got these two circles, and you can look now and see, what can I do? You have a clear-cut picture. What can I do to improve my situation to develop the kind of life that I want? And then focus your energy on those things in this circle. They may be outside of your comfort zone, but they are within your ability to do them. You may need education, you may need support, you may be nudging, you may need somebody to hold your hand and hug you through it. But these are things you can learn to do. And then those things that are outside of your circle, let them go. Don't focus on that. Put your fears, put your worries. What good is going to do to focus on that? And inside your circle of what you can control is your thoughts, how you think, what you choose to dwell on. Let go of those things in the outside circle. Focus on what you can. It's empowering. Makes you feel like, oh, here's something tangible I can do. I can take my vitamin. I can drink some water. I can clean out my fridge. I can, do these things. You feel less helpless. You can take some action, and it's right there in your handwriting on your picture. So focus on what you can control. Increase your chance of success that way. Feel more confident and feel more at ease in your life. So here's your take-home messages. Understand and accept the things you cannot change. Put them in that big circle. I would really encourage you to do this exercise. And then write down what you can do and have the courage to put effort into those things you can change and influence. Get the skills, the tools, the help, the hand-holding, the love, the encouragement, the support you need. And then thirdly, have the wisdom to know the difference, and you can seek advisement on that. So, I love this information. I believe it can be very powerful and helpful in your journey. Choose to make it so. Thank you for being part of this podcast. Thank you for taking your time and listening. Please share this with other people. Do that exercise. Love to hear the comments. This is also on YouTube, where it makes it easy to leave comments. So if you don't know how to make comments, leave them on the YouTube. Connie Stapleton, PhD. All right. Thank you so much, my friends. And it might be C. Stapleton. I don't know. Stapleton. All right, friends. Thanks, and I will see you next time. Remember, we're talking about your health, which is your responsibility this day and every day. Bye-bye.